Good day. Today I'll be talking about the principles of good assessment and feedback. It offers 10 guidelines for effective assessment and feedback practices that are based on literature views, along with the justification for each principle and standards used to select them. Two key dimensions are addressed in order to better understand the dynamics involved in the implementation of these concepts. The interaction component first discusses how effectively the principles encourage the development of learner self-regulation. Second, the academic social component relates to how well the principles integrate both academic and social experiences in a way that benefits both. It is claimed that principles are a crucial tool instructors should employ when developing, putting into practice, and reviewing assessment procedures. The framework is used to develop the higher education student encounter and to pinpoint problems with it. Interestingly, but not surprisingly, I have also found that these principles can help guide the application of technologies like artificial intelligence, AI, to support assessment practices. What makes a good principle? Firstly, a good principle should capture a core idea from the published research. That is, there should be a research evidence to support its implementation. Secondly, a good principle should also have broad relevance. It should guide practitioners as they design learning or assessment tasks for students, but it should not be too narrow or specific. In other words, there should be flexibility. That is, there should be many ways of implementing a principle depending on the discipline and the teaching and learning context. Thirdly, there is a set of principles. There should be minimal overlap across them. As far as possible, they should be defined independently. Furthermore, the effectiveness of the principles should be higher when more principles are operationalized in the same learning design. Lastly, good principles should also help those wishing to evaluate their assessment designs or their implementations in practice. The principles in the next section adhere to these. Good assessment and feedback practices should: 1. Help clarify what good performance is, goals, criteria, standards. To what extent do students in your course have opportunities to engage effectively with goals, criteria, and standards before, during, and after assessment tasks? Number 2, encourage time and effort on challenging learning tasks. To what extent do assessment tasks encourage regular study in and out of class and deep rather than surface learning? Number 3, develop high quality feedback information that helps learners self-correct. What kind of teacher feedback do you provide? In what ways does it help students self-assess and self-correct? Number 4, encourage positive motivational beliefs and self-esteem. To what extent do your assessments and feedback processes activate your students' motivation to learn and be successful? Number 5, encourage interaction and dialogue around learning, peer and student. What opportunities are there for feedback dialogue, peer and student, student and tutor, right, around assessment tasks in your course? Number 6, facilitate the development of self-assessment and reflection in learning. To what extent are there formal opportunities for reflection, self-assessment, or peer assessment in your course? Number 7, give learners choice in assessment content and processes. To what extent do students have choice in the topics, methods, criteria, weighting, and or timing of learning and assessment tasks in your course? Number 8, students have decision making about assessment policy and practice. Question is, to what extent are your students in your course kept informed or engaged in consultations regarding assessment decisions? Number 9, support the development of learning communities. Question, To what extent do your assessments and feedback processes help support the development of learning communities? Number 10, help teachers adapt teaching to students' needs. To what extent do your assessment and feedback processes help inform and shape your teaching? In conclusion, although the guidelines may have different impacts based on how they are used and the quartile bonds are arbitrary and porous, using the frameworks or the ideas to evaluate student learning has been helpful. Recommendations would be the concepts and quadrants can also be used to outline the features of various assessment methods across a whole range of study years. If if this were to be done, assessments utilized in postgraduate years of study might have a distinct pattern, correlation in varied forms. Despite the claim that group work is necessary for future employment and that it is the job of the institution to prepare students for it, it is advised that it be made voluntary instead of compulsory. Whichever the choice, it is crucial to make a distinction among teamwork that serves a social mission and group work that is a component of academic learning, such as assignments that needs learners to learn collaboratively. For example, to create friendships. Although the initial objective might be necessary, the second must be chosen by the pupils. Thank you.